Clinton Carew, and welcome to the Align with AI Innovation podcast, brought to you by MacEwan University's School for Continuing Education. This limited series podcast delves into the multifaceted world of AI and data with many industry-leading experts. MacEwan University will be offering a slate of courses and certificates centered around these important topics, and we are here to talk with the subject matter experts who can share insight into implementing these technologies responsibly and efficiently. My guest today is Eric Dressler.
Thank you for having me.
So, Eric, you run your own company, KMD Data Plus, but you've been in the world of data for 20 plus years, right?
That's right. So 3 weeks running my own company, 20 years doing this type of work.
Well, first of all, happy belated birthday to your company.
3 weeks old. Thank you. I should be counting in days, not weeks.
Yeah, I suppose. And you're originally from, you studied at the University of Regina, right?
Correct. Yep. Don't hold it against me. Go Riders. I should be wearing green today. But yes, I grew up for the most part of my life in Saskatchewan, went to University of Regina, got my stats degree there and biology degree, and moved out to Alberta from there. And that was kind of my introduction to math and stats and where I ended my degree at U of R.
So you go from the science side back into the math side, and now you're dealing with huge amounts of data.
That's right. Well, let's not say huge. I'd say initially a bit of data. It got bigger quick. When I was in market research, we would just usually do response data. We would get access to response data, which is, hey, I'm doing a survey. What do you think of this product? Or are you going to vote for this person? And we would take those responses, maybe a couple thousand responses, and we would do an analysis based on their responses and what products they like better or which politicians they would vote for.
So with thousands of responses, this is kind of at a human scale.
That's right.
Where the humans would do the data analytics.
100%. Yeah, you'd be able to look through all the responses, and you can do that in probably 10, 15 minutes and analyze what people are saying. And then you have some statistical software packages that help you, but a lot of times you could kind of comb through that data yourself. So not a lot of data we're talking.
Right. Now, with the work you're doing right now with KMD Data Plus, are you working with similar sized data sets?
No, completely different. So everyone's heard about big data. It's actually to the point where I don't even think people are calling it big data. In the industry, it's not really called big data anymore. All data is big data because everything is basically you couldn't process like we did back in the day.
Right.
So what we're working with now are large amounts of data. It could be social media data. It could be transactional data, sensor data, which they call IoT or the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
But massive magnitudes of data, terabytes
so that's like
and terabytes.
The kind of data that people get from their Ring cameras to their smart
devices,
refrigerators, to the things that check your temperature inside your house, all of those things communicating together.
Yeah, and then not only that, depending on the client that we're working for, the project we're doing, they want to connect that data to the transactional data because they want to understand what patterns and behaviors did that person do prior to purchasing, I don't know, a sandwich at the store, for example, or purchasing gas at one retailer versus another. So there's a whole bunch of these leading indicators and data which fits into this big puzzle, which we're trying to usually center around a customer if we're doing with customer data and analytics and such.
Right. Is this the kind of digital fingerprint that people talk about
That's
online?
Right. Yeah. Like how many times did you go online, either on your app or your website before you purchase something? And that's to understand the conversion around that and what that path is to purchase is big when you're dealing with customer and retail data, for example.
Now, as somebody who wants to be able to understand a customer, this amount of data, this massive amount of available data is obviously a very enticing and beautiful thing. But from a customer standpoint, sometimes it can seem a little intimidating, like everything we do is being harvested by data managers. So when you're deploying AI at the kinds of scales that are required in order to do this, are there things you think about in terms of risk and how do you manage that?
Yeah, so it's interesting when you get into AI and everyone's thinking about kind of AI and then robots, and which are actually seemingly very much closer than we thought a couple of years ago. But the real risk with AI is around data. and data governance and consent. So when you're talking about kind of personalizing offers, for example, to the customer, organizations should be aware of the inherent risks and strategies around that.
Right.
So number one, do you have consent to send them an email? Do you have consent to use their data to build a profile so you can give them relevant products and offers? So number one's around consent. Number two is around like, how are you managing that data according to, let's say, various internal policies, but also external regulatory policies? Do you have proper data management procedures that are linking to those policies that can potentially be audited that would say that you're protecting that data as the customer would want you to?
Right.
So it gets into a lot of risk around that, and you can see why customers get a little bit concerned because they don't know who's collecting what data and what they're using it for.
Absolutely. And I think there'd be elements to where does the data get stored as well, right? Like, so not just where is it collected, how is it secured, but where does the data live when we're in such a cloud-based
100%.
world? Right?
So the way that works is, so we have cloud, which is essentially, when we say cloud, it is not in the cloud, which I'm sure everyone knows, but it's a collection of servers, and when we say cloud, that's where it is. Now, you're right to say that because some of these servers are located in different countries. There's one near Calgary. There's one on 3 or 4 on the east side. There's some in the States, and then the companies that we're working with would be interested in terms of where that data is getting stored.
Absolutely. There's data centers in Saudi Arabia.
That's
There's
right.
Data centers in Australia.
Yes, 100%, everywhere. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with companies, because I imagine as somebody who's interested in data governance in a case like this, how do you make sure and how do you keep on top of the rules that the companies are currently abiding by? Because they change, right?
Right. So not easily.
Fair.
So this is part of, and we can talk about data governance programs and such, and but this is part of what companies really should, or companies should be doing, is understanding how they're using the data, where they're using it. Do they have agreements in place with the companies that they're using their data for? And are they going to be, is the company going to be surprised if you tell them you're storing their data in South America, for example?
Sure,
So it's all about kind of like transparency, documentation, contracts, and just common sense, I guess.
Now, so you take this incredibly complex world of digital governance in the incredibly complex world of no longer big data, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
And now you add in AI of all the different streams and what's happening with that.
Right.
How has that made things simpler, and how has that made things much more complicated?
Right. Interesting. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So on the simpler side, obviously with ChatGPT and Gen AI and all these Gen AI applications out there that are all fighting for consumption power and the first to market, et cetera, it helps with your mundane tasks. So you can go on ChatGPT, you can ask I have these 5 ingredients, what should I make for dinner tonight? You can do anything. And then there's a whole bunch of that type of stuff that you can do in data and analytics. You can say, write me code to develop this app, where you couldn't have done that a couple of years ago. Right. So it helps with I won't even say mundane tasks, but it helps on the automation side and allows you to get to value, or your time to value to decrease significantly. So that's one thing. But what goes hand in hand with that is AI is very powerful, but it's also very brittle.
Right.
So when you run different codes and algorithms and you process it, you don't want to just push that code to production right away. You want to have testing controls in place, and I think that's where a lot of missteps happen, is just on that risk side. They're fast to prototype, but that can lead to some major issues if you don't have the proper governance around that. Sometimes we just have a happy trigger finger, if you will, and we're not really kind of applying that governance and taking it slow after prototype and making sure we have things in place properly.
So when you say governance, some people might think of that as being like a digital gatekeeper. Does that sound familiar to you?
A little bit. It's governance is around. So you're going to have like a person, let's say like a chief data officer or something like that. that is ultimately responsible for the digital and data governance.
Right.
But it's really a cross-functional process. So what a lot of organizations are starting to do now is they're standing up these data governance programs. And now they're thinking, okay, I have this data governance program. Is AI a separate program? Or should we combine it? So a lot of companies are like, oh, do we use one program or multiple programs? But at the end of the day, it's around getting your executive leadership together as part of a steering committee and making sure you have all the right people there, not just one or two people, like all the people from marketing, digital, IT, security, legal, you name it, human resources, and getting them to agree on what your philosophy is around AI. And then from there, if you can imagine, that kind of creates a set of policies, and those policies that get effectively managed by the people doing the data processing. And there's kind of a back and forth around that. So that's kind of when we're saying gatekeeper, that most organizations that are moving to something robust are putting together some type of data governance program.
No, I understand. You've talked wonderfully about it generally there. So I'll ask you specifically for your company, KMD Data Plus, what's your position on AI?
I think that there is a massive amount of upside to AI. I think it is a bit overhyped in terms of everyone wants it, but no one kind of knows what it is. And I think that people are catching up very quickly to the technology, but the technology is a moving target. I think that there's a lot of upside in AI, but I do think that there is inherent risk in AI, and not like the robots taking over the world risk.
Because that would be great.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah,
people talk about that as a bad thing. Like the sooner the robots take over the world, and I can relax.
I mean, if they're cool robots, maybe that is a good thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Just saying.
It's not that. It's more around those examples that I gave, like misuse, causing brand equity damage, not governing AI, and having that cause issues with their customers and such.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about some horrifying uses of AI that have happened, but I think that would be a little out of scope. But in terms of the general risk in terms of brittleness, is that something that can be managed with proper procedure?
I think so. Like there's a certain amount of people involved in this, but you can only go so far with people, process, and such. I think that's needed, but always remember the technology is getting introduced to help safeguard some of those processes as well. So there's actually AI that creates automation frameworks around governance as well. So I think the more that you can use the processes and policies and the steering committees that you have set up, but actually have technology in conjunction with that to help safeguard some of that, that's the winning ticket. So, for example, if you're running a platform, so a platform would be a data platform where everyone brings their data in, they process the data, they do a bunch of analytics on the data, some reporting, and AI, ML, that type of thing.
Okay.
Imagine if you have a safeguard at that data set, so there's only one entry point, no one else can use any other data platforms, only this one platform, and then you can let's say, de-risk everything and build in automation rules where you would say no personal identifiable information can come into this platform. And you actually have automation that prevents that from happening. That's one example of a safeguard that you can have at a platform level that enables the governance that is being created at the policy level.
So over at KMD Data Plus, and you don't mind that I keep saying the name of your company,
No,
right?
I did. Please say it.
KMD
as
Data
much
Plus?
as you want. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So over there, what is your position in terms of the future of AI for you? Are you adding more into your practices right now?
Yes. So in terms of our initial position, we're working with various organizations out there. There's other projects that we're thinking about that we're doing internally. And I won't give too much information, but one of the current internal projects we have is to build out a place where everyone goes to build various tools. And these would be like analytical tools and such. Not only build tools, but actually put in some of their data and get a result for for what's normally reserved for large enterprise type companies.
So kind of like a platform on top of a platform
Kind
sort of
of,
thing?
yeah. Like you'd have a platform. Here's an example. You'd have a platform. You want to know if something is statistically significant or not. You would enter in a couple metrics, and it would give you an answer.
Right.
And what happens now is like people go all over the place and do that everywhere. So there's not really one kind of thing for that.
Yeah.
So we're planning on using a lot of AI around that. Obviously, automation and Gen AI and agentic AI, they call it, to actually go and help with a lot of that processing. Because before, like I was saying, it would be very difficult to run these types of analytics, and you'd have to get the code and everything else. Right now, you just go in a prompt in ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, and then you say, give me the code for this, and you have it instantly. It's crazy. It's insane.
Now, I know on code level, one of the things I've worked a little bit with code and AI, and one of the ways that you can test to see if it worked or not is you can test to see if it works or not.
Exactly.
But the thing that's always been challenging for me conceptually about AI is the idea that if it just tells me a number, how do I know that that number is true?
Right.
Right. So a number is something like if I ask AI, what percentage of people are afraid of AI, and AI says 0.4% of people are afraid of AI, I have no reason to know that that number is true or false, right? Because once you ask the question, a number is hard to prove or disprove without having to do all the work that you want the AI to do in the first place.
Correct.
Right? So what are some of the steps you're doing about, because when a hallucination happens in design, somebody looks funny. And you go, hey, they look funny.
Yeah.
But when a hallucination happens in data, the number 5 is now the number 12.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. It's a difficult one. I think that inherently it comes with trust, right? So trust, and there's not total trust there with some of these AI products. And actually, a year and a half ago, this was the number one issue is hallucinations. It still is, but that was the one mostly in the media was around, it can't do calculations, it can't do this, it can't do that, the numbers are wrong. So I think there's always going to be these checks in place, checks and balances that you need to actually do yourself as a sanity check on, is this right? Maybe you have to run things yourself a few times to see if it actually corresponds to the number you're thinking. The other thing you do is in time, I think you would think about various automations. So if you expect a number to be X and they give you Y, you would run some type of automation to give you an exception report to say, okay, this looks a little bit off from what we're thinking. So there's again some safeguards around that.
Right.
But you're right. Like there's always there's a lot of challenges, especially around numbers. It's not great at numbers yet. It's getting much better. But keep in mind, this is the beginning, right? Imagine 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there's going to be no issues around calculations. It'll probably be better than a calculator, if that's possible.
All right. You're very optimistic, and I appreciate that. Now, with your company, is there something you're doing to put that that optimism into action? Are you like you betting hard on this future of a accurate AI?
Yeah. I mean, what we want to do is, so here's the thing. Everyone wants to do AI. This is kind of the struggle. And funny thing I heard actually from a person I know, Saul Rashida, she said that everyone is doing AI is kind of like saying everyone is doing electricity.
Right.
And electricity is done for a purpose, right? It's lighting the room. It's, doing this podcast, et cetera. So I think as soon as organizations start to think a little bit more like, I want to do AI, instead of that, thinking, I want to drive sales using AI.
Right.
And that ends up being an enabler to their core strategy. I think that's where organizations will be in a better position. So at KMD, what we're approaching it is, let's get to the AI as quick as possible, but you can't do it just as prototypes, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. You have to have somewhat of a framework in place and somewhat of a solid foundation. Let's call it the foundation of your house. You need concrete poured, or you're not going to have a very good house.
Sure.
You can't build skyscrapers in the sand, for example. So you have to have some sort of foundation in place that you can go and scale your AI. And I think where a lot of organizations probably misstep is they go right to the AI, and then all of a sudden a data pipeline breaks that fuels the AI or enables the AI, and it all breaks. And then they blame the AI, but really it was actually the data processing that caused the issue. So we're trying to, number one, get as fast as possible to have that foundation in place, and two, allow quick prototyping on the AI. And once we have a prototype in place and we show the value, we want to scale, but we want to scale the right way.
Right.
So
I see some companies sometimes they put AI in place, and the minute that they have any inkling that the AI is working, they immediately fire 14 people.
Yes, it's probably not a good move, but yes, I'm sure that does happen. They might get one inkling, and everyone's gone, and all of a sudden
and then
they're
the AI does something unexpected, and the 14 people who know how to deal with that are
So then they call them back and want to rehire them, I guess. But I think that this is where you shouldn't be doing AI by itself. There's got to be people managing it. You got to be working with it, using it as a tool in your toolkit. But you need that people and that expertise to be able to use it effectively. Back to let's not have electricity for electricity's sake. There's a means to an end. So it gets back to the conversations around, hey, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, what are your goals? And then how can we help AI deliver on those goals? Which are kind of, it's a difficult part of analytics and AI is like understanding the need, the business case, and demonstrating the value, and working with your customers on what that looks like, and then scaling from there. It's a difficult thing, but it all points to that if technology is no longer the barrier.
So you can look at AI as an amazing tool that can do things that people can't do, right? You can also look at AI as an amazing tool that can do things that people can do.
Right.
If you're a company, which of these are the things that are going to have the greatest digital horizon for you? The thing where you've now replaced your entire staff with virtual people going around giving people virtual milkshakes, or the part where your tools are able to reach for a future that wasn't even possible before?
Yeah, I mean, what a great question. So I would say if I had to pick one, it's company 2. Okay. If I didn't have to pick one, it would be kind of a mixture of both. So I know it's a political answer, but the truth is you always need people.
Right.
And I think what's happening right now is there's a lot of fear around, is AI going to replace my job and et cetera. It's more that AI won't replace your job. People that know AI will replace your job.
Sure.
So it's kind of that hand-in-hand approach where you're using AI as a tool in the toolkit to help you do your job better and uncover new opportunities because you're saving time. Yeah. Now, there is things where only AI can do these things. And that could be a capacity-related issue or a finance-related issue, or it's just something that maybe the humans aren't thinking of yet.
Right.
So I think that, to me, I would kind of pick both. You'd have a sandbox environment to prototype and use AI for things that people don't have time for or maybe wouldn't think that way. But you'd also enable your staff with the Microsoft Copilots and using ChatGPT to help them improve their productivity and come up with new ideas.
Very cool.
Yeah.
If there was a thing that you think that any company, as a responsible AI leader at a company, the thing that they have to keep their eye on, what is that thing? And I am going to say one thing.
One thing. Okay.
That's right.
That they have to keep their eye on. It's probably how others are using AI, and for them not to put their heads in the sand. Okay. And it might look like there's not a lot happening competitively, and you might think that I'm not in a space where AI is going to impact our industry significantly.
Right.
Don't be naive around that. I would say that that's the one thing is get involved, understand how AI is being used, understand how it benefits you, and then when that point in time comes, you're going to be ready for it. And especially if you have that data governance and the kind of the data side figured out ahead of then.
So what I'm hearing is no matter what your company is, you sell ice cream on the street corner, that it's your responsibility as a leader in your company to make sure you understand what other companies are doing around you in terms of AI so that you don't get left behind?
100%. Yeah. And if you want to one up that, it's like you are the pioneer in that space, and
Right.
you're always looking for new opportunities and such. But don't be naive to think that, because you sell ice cream at the ice cream stand, you're not other competitors aren't using AI. I just thought of a few examples how you can do it there. Maybe you can make up I was thinking ice cream through the what's the scanning system or the print, the
Like
printing.
3D printed ice cream?
Yeah, maybe there's something around there. I don't know how that would taste.
I don't know if it sounds delicious, but it sounds interesting. Hey, Eric, before I let you go, I want to talk to you about course development. So you're currently developing some AI courses in the world of data at MacEwan. Is this right?
Correct. Yes. Very excited about that. So we've just kind of launched the course development. It's around AI, data, governance, everything we talked about here in the podcast.
Are you using AI to help speed up that development process?
Yes, a little bit, of course. But yes. But obviously, the thing is, it really comes down to the instruction, and then not only taking the concepts, but building the presentation material around that, and then being able to communicate that and convey the messages you want the students to hear, and really understand and engage with. And then obviously the delivery of the course and the instruction of the course is important as well. So
absolutely. And I think it's going to be really interesting for the students to be able to take a course that is informed through some of the things that you've learned in these.
Totally.
How long do you think you've been with AI now, using it on some level for?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
When I was at Air Miles, so I was at Air Miles for 12 years, where I learned a whole bunch around analytics and sort of worked my way up from an analyst to acting VP of analytics. And there, it was the same type of thing. We would use SAS or other platforms to create predictive models. We didn't have Gen AI at the time, but we could still do predictions and do machine learning models. And we were using those to predict the next product that a person would purchase based on their previous purchases at a certain company. So we've been doing that for a number of years. It's really taken off, obviously, with big data and now Gen AI, which is now making sense to everyone how this big data and this AI comes to life and how they can use it. And now it's just obviously taken off in like a parabola.
The students taking your course, Eric, what is something that they're going to be able to expect in terms of being able to put your course into action in the future?
Mm-hmm. So really good question. So there's a couple things that the students should be thinking about. One is like how AI can help them in their academics. Yeah. Obviously being aligned with the course curriculum and not breaking any rules and that type of thing. But AI should be helping them right now in various ways. So this course will help them understand how to practically apply machine learning and AI to various job functions, and also how to do it responsibly, right? So back to, is there proper data governance in place, prototyping quick, but also having milestones around data quality and other AI governance related things as well. So they should hopefully learn a lot.
Thanks a lot, Eric.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
This has been the Align with AI Innovation podcast, and I'm your host, Clinton Carew. I've been having the great pleasure of talking with Eric Dressler today. I'd like to thank our engineer, it's John Johnson, and the special thanks to the entire New Initiatives team at MacEwan University School of Continuing Education. So be sure to check out the new AI and data courses being offered, and visit macewan.ca/AI innovation for more information.